Yeah, this is a question now because this keeps coming up all the time. And I'm like, come on, here we go. Again.
Yeah.
Make me feel bad about saying the word.
People are not gonna like how I say it.
Thing about the word black. What's behind that?
Right. It's not that I have a problem in regards to the word black. I have a problem with the black and white, and I understand that from black and white, it's not about skin tone. It's all superficial, to tell the honest truth with you. For example, people would class you as mixed race if they saw you, yeah, or they see you in a mixed race, but you still be termed yourself as black. Yeah, so it's not about the colour of your skin. It's not even a colour anyway. It's a shade. Yeah. I've done a lot of reading in towards the terms of black and why they called us black. And it's nothing to do with skin tone. It's more to do with the evolutionary chart of which they had in regards to putting black men or black women in the rung of the ladder on the human evolution chart, and white as the Homo superior. Yeah. So from that basis, you can appreciate that black and white, there's no equality. Yeah. And I'm a humanitarian. I'm not this kind of pro-black militant or anything like that. I believe that everybody is who they are, human beings, and I understand that through climate change and through migration, this is the reasons why we have people of different colours, of people of different like pigmentations, and different kind of facial features. I understand that completely, but the term black is derogatory in any which way you want to look at it. So when they're calling us black, we're always at the lower rung. And it's not to do with an observation. Yeah, it's not to do with an observation, oh, you're black, because I'm not black. Look,
if you're the original, you're the original.
Exactly.
If you're the antique, you get an old car, it's an antique.
Here's a fact.
I love antiques.
Here's a fact for you as well. Indians were classed as black up to, I think, 1980. Jewish.
What happened then?
Pardon?
So why are they no longer classed as black?
I'm not too sure on the reasons why they're not classed as black. Because they've got their own tradition, they didn't want to maybe, but also as well they've got their own tradition, they've got their cultures, they've got their religions, of which we don't. When we class ourselves as black, to me it's like psychological homelessness. People would rather call themselves black rather than call themselves African. Yeah.
So okay.
Or call themselves, or maybe not so much Jamaican.
Well, okay. So you're saying Asians were called black. So now they're called
Asians were called blacks.
So then now they're called Asians. Not even called the colour anymore.
Yeah, Asians were called blacks.
So why are we called black? Why are white people called white? And why are Asians called?
Well,
Asian?
white people weren't called white. Well,
what I mean is why are we described by our colour, but Asian people aren't described by their colour?
History. Remember, we're the only set of people that has been basically took away from our homeland and put into Western civilization, and have had our history eradicated in it practically, our religions eradicated, our customs eradicated, and have had to streamline ourselves towards, the white power base. That's the reasons why. Asians don't have that. They have their history, they have their culture, which has been untouched, literally. Okay, so when you say Asian, you're giving them their nationality.
That's what I'm trying to say.
You're giving them identity. Yeah, white people will only call themselves white when they're in contrast to black people. Otherwise, they're English, they're Scottish, they're French, they're Spanish, or European. But when you're black, you are just black, and then you're put into a pool of how all black people should be. And we're different. We have our different customs. We have our different... Like, for example, when people talk about Africa, they make it such a small place, but Africa is bigger than Europe. We've got more dialects. We've got more different contrasts of people. So why do we class Africa as so small? When you can see there's so much diversity.
54 different countries apparently.
Yeah, there's so much diversity there. And I guarantee you go to Africa, they won't call a next black person black. They will call them by their identity of their country.
Of course.
Yeah? And that's what the problem is in regards...
Senegalese,
exactly.
Nigeria.
And just another point as well, Irish people, Jewish people, and Italians weren't called white until after 1940. They weren't classed as white. So it's nothing to do in regards to colour spectrums of who we are, because everything's colour coded. You've got to remember in 1492, the Spanish Inquisition, they called us Negro, which made us 3/5 human, and made out that we were just black objects, because that's what it actually means in Spanish. Negro means black object. It was only after the civil rights, I might say the dates, I might get it wrong, but it's after the civil rights that we started to call ourselves black, yeah, to actually justify us as being human beings, not property, when they call us Negro. Yeah. So even though
it's so funny, because prior to that, they would have considered black people, Moors, and everything else as formidable foes.
Yeah.
So to go from that to consider them property and consider them as inferior, when they basically from 792 to I think 711 to 1492. Yeah. They occupied Spain and Italy.
Yeah, they did. But how many people know that? Not many, because that's obviously been whitewashed away from history, and like the Spanish Inquisition was near enough over 300 years, and that was like basically taking.
I understand. I'm surprised that they went from. I'm even surprised that they said the Spanish Inquisition, the people at that particular time who making that decision or that determination to instead of seeing them as, wow, these formidable foes that we have to be very careful of, they're saying, oh, actually, they're beneath us, they're inferior. I mean, come on, I find it very odd that they made that decision.
That's to do with...
so they made a decision to kind of, they were like, whoa, we're going to make sure to change the future, make sure that forever our men, these people are going to
Well, this is how they based it, didn't they? To do with Darwin's theory of evolution, where we're looked as more stronger, more savage, less intellect on the kind of chart.
You could never have considered them more as being...
Yeah, but that's how they looked at people who wasn't European. Okay. Through Darwinistic theory. I think there's 4 or 5 sets, isn't there? Mongoloid, Negroid,
what I do know about is I know about the Iberian skull.
Yeah.
So that's what I know, but other than the rest of it, I'm not too clear on those things, but I know about the Iberian skull, which said obviously deemed people as being inferior because of the shape of their skull.
Yeah.
That's all about eugenics and
and more criminally minded as well.
It was the Italians that introduced all that stuff. Italian scientists. Yeah,
and criminally minded, more deviant, and it's colour codes, as I've always said to people. It's like when you say a black man, for a lot of white people, they have the image of what they've been channeled, whether that be through TV, whether that be through reading, whether that be just from somebody just speaking about somebody as an individual, and we're always looked at as aggressive all the time. And the worst thing about it is that we believe it ourselves as a black community.
So you're saying we've got to. Should we rather remove the word black? And what would you? It
can't remove the word black. The thing is what I would like to see people doing.
Colour code ourselves.
Is just use our identity of where we live, who we are. For example, like people say black British. Why can't we just be British? African American. Well, why can't you just be American? Why does there need to be
why people
that disparity?
call themselves black British, and it took a lot of time for a lot of black people to actually call themselves British because they didn't feel British. They didn't feel like they were part of.
Yeah, but that's the only way of where we can mix and combine. If everybody calls themselves as one, that's the only way. If we keep separating ourselves, then there's always going to be that divide. I'm not pro-black, as I said before. And I don't mean that I don't believe in black issues, because I do, wholeheartedly. But what it is I don't believe in is that I feel that me being as a black man, I'm superior, or I choose a black man over a white person, because that's what pro actually means, pro-black. I'm more of a humanitarian, and I believe that everybody, has the same skill set, the same mind, the same things they can offer to each other. It doesn't regardless of what your colour actually is. But obviously there is a disparity there. And that's the problem that we have. There's too much inequality, and we keep using the words black and white, and that just keeps reinforcing that all the time. And it's not something with me just sitting here and a camcorder is going to change that. It's not going to.
You know what I'll say?
But I understand the issues regarding that black and white.
Well, I'll say this, and I think I'll end on this note. Everything you said is fantastic. Again, you put some very important points across. But I think it's something, again, that's going to have to be resolved by the listeners, people out there, everyone. We all have a part to play in the change. So we have to decide whether we want it to change, whether we want a society that's equal. You know,
and that's the trouble. Do we really want a society that's equal?
A world that's equal, where colour codes no longer have the same impact they have had. But until then, you know, who knows? I know what I'd like for the future. But thank you so much. We appreciate it once again. And anyone who wants to, you know, put something forward, just some very smart people out there, please, you know, come along, contribute to the conversation. We'd really appreciate it if you need to talk. Thank you for your time, Ali.
Thank you.